Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks Best Country, 105.1 The Bull. It's time for Around the Ozarks Sports Scene, brought to you by Colton Steakhouse, Thompson Sales, and Deadeye Gun and Pawn in Sparta. Here's your host, Scott Purrier.
Welcome into another edition of Around the Ozarks Sports Scene. I am Scott Purrier. As always, big thank you to you for tuning in this week. And if you see Chris Parker on your screen, or you can't see it if you're listening to the podcast version, and you hear the words Chris Parker, you know we must be into another high school sports season of the year. And we are. And so we're going to talk spring sports now with Parker. We usually try to bring him back at the very end, too, to talk about our districts and state championships. But we're a little behind on jumping into the spring sports. So, Parker, let's get after it, okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Chris Parker is the director, chief content creator, assigner, everything with the Ozarks Sports Zone, the KY3 product. They do a tremendous job. They are our go-to for any stories or information. Chris, before we get started, one of the things we talked about weeks ago that was a hot topic in the area was the MSHA versus the legislature subject. And you know, it got started up because the legislature wanted to take over, basically, running MSHA. Has that all died from what you can tell?
I think I call it dormant. I don't know how much, with the elections. The elections this week might have had effect on that, people running for different things, but I'll call it more dormant. I haven't heard on a full resolution on things. I mean, I do know, obviously, they had that questionnaire out there, and that is probably some of it, figuring out what that questionnaire and the answers to it has effect on the things they're wanting to change.
So the threat that looked like it was pretty strong has at least died down, then, you think?
Yeah, I would say so. Again, I'm not in those rooms or in those meetings, but you haven't heard anything else from MSHA, and so hopefully things have kind of leveled out.
Well, and maybe the legislative guys came to their senses and realized the massive undertaking it would have been, and the chaos it could have created, especially if it took effect at the end of August, going into a new school year with literally nobody knowing how to do it or what to do it. That would have been a mess, would it not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's 100 years of history there, and all that institutional knowledge of how to do things, who to contact with each place. I mean, you'd have to reinvent the wheel, and it'd be chaos for just not for the sports, but for the activities. And I just don't think. I think what MSHA is can be tweaked, and there's options there that sound like they're willing to come to the floor to do it, but just blowing it up doesn't seem like the right call.
Absolutely. So we put a bow on the basketball season's state championships for Logan Rogersville. Who else am I missing? The Stratford young ladies that bounced back after the injury to Elsie there in the district finals. Who was our Bunker, our boys to the east, right?
Yeah, they're outside of my viewing area, my coverage area. But
they are not outside the area because Ron covers weather all the way to we're joking about that. But so all in all, basketball, you felt like a success for the Ozarks teams?
Yeah, it was, in terms of championship game appearances, a down year. I think this was the first year since maybe I can't remember the exact thing. I think before 2010, since we didn't have a state finalist, class 1 through 3 boys or girls. So that was a little different this year. I mean, just some of the, the way cycles work, and, Skyline moving up to class 3, and still very good in class 3, but they've been dominant in class 2. And then, Logan Rogersville stamping their name as one of the great teams. I mean, when you start to talk about it, you have more of a breadth of knowledge on that than I do getting here in 2012. But, finishing number 17 in the nation, rated by Max Preps amongst high school, not including prep schools, but the high school rankings. Very impressive. And then, everything Stratford overcame was seeing how they rallied after Elsie Larson went down, and then Trista Van Horn and Kenley Larson. I did the math after in the playoff games without Elsie. they combined to score, I think it was 74% of the team's points.
And both of them stepped up in such a big way, and all the way through the championship game. So, basketball done now. Spring sports get started right in the middle of the basketball push there for the most part. Here we are, second week of April. Let's start with high school baseball in the Ozarks. We were talking this morning on the radio show that maybe not the overall upper echelon level of teams we've had, but yet the state poll comes out and we've got 3 top-ranked teams in the state of Missouri. How would you assess our overall Southwest Missouri baseball scene this season in terms of championship contenders?
For me, it's as strong as ever, and it starts with pitching is everything. Willard, who had that walk-off loss last night to Nixa, and Nixa's ranked tied for rank 5 in Class 6, but you got Willard in Class 5, Rogersville in Class 4, Fairgrove in Class 3, and then defending state champion Miller in Class 2 is the ranked number 2. So you got 3 number 1s and a number 2 there. So while you look at these rankings and you may not see a lot of names, you do see names at the top, which is ultimately what matters at the end. I mean, with Miller, for example, they've got the best pitcher in Class 2. He might be the best pitcher in Southwest Missouri in Jace Wilkinson. I mean, a lefty junior going to Mizzou, throwing in the 90s. That's a weapon. And anytime he's on the mound, they've got a chance. So, again, that speaks to depth. They've got 2 all-state pitchers, and in Class 2, you only need, if your 2 pitchers are on, that's going to take you all the way because you're going to get the bye in the district. They can throw the semifinal and final. Then you're going to get the sectional and quarterfinal, and then you get the Final Four. So you don't need the depth that you do in the bigger classes where now they have that classes 4 or 5 and 6 where they have the 3-game series. So I see a lot of potential for this baseball season.
Refresh us again on the D1 commits, the power 4 level in particular. Obviously you talked about the Miller pitcher that's just a sophomore. You've got Brady Yates at Glendale. It's a junior that's committed to Missouri State. And you'd mentioned with us on Monday on radio, a Neosho pitcher going to Arkansas, correct?
Yes, Brody Crane. He's going to Neosho. Marshfield has a kid going to Davidson. There's a pitcher from Kickapoo, Brody Wilson. He's going to Missouri State. That's a large portion of our D1 kids. Preston McCracken. He's also a D1 kid out of Republic there. But the 2027 class is deep. Cole Milliken, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. He's at Lebanon. He is going to Missouri State as well. So like a team like Lebanon, well, they're not even in the state rankings. I'll give you an example there. They are receiving votes, I believe, but they're not ranked. But they've got 3 Division I players. They've got Milliken going to Missouri State. Their catcher, Beckett York, going to Mizzou. He's only a junior. And then Landon Klee, he's going to Missouri State as well. So right there, you got a team that maybe we're not talking about as much, but they've got the kids to really make a run there with that kind of talent. And then also in that junior class, you've got Cameron Miller, TCU kid. Camden's Cam Durnan, I believe, is down there. Cade Durnan's at TCU as well. So they've come to the area and kind of had some success here recruiting there. Ryland Sutton, he's going to Ole Miss, Mississippi. He's out of Ozark. Gavin Thomason, Fairgrove, they're ranked number 1. He's a Missouri State kid. Jagger Wilson, last night, he threw a really good 7-inning game against a Big 8 rival, Nevada, and they walked it off for a 4-3 win. He's an OU commit who's a shortstop and a pitcher. And then we mentioned Brady Yates and Beckett York, and Brady Yates is just off to a historic start. So there is a lot of talent. A lot of high-level talent. Not of the high-level talent are pitchers. They're listed as position players. I'm getting this all off of a Prep Baseball Report. They do a really good job of tracking commitments and putting it out there that's an easily searchable form.
I wanted to ask you, what is it about baseball in our area that does this? Because, we don't get this kind of – we consider ourselves, and we have for decades, a basketball area, rich in tradition, and we don't churn out the Power 4 recruits in basketball or football like we do for baseball. Why is that, you think?
Baseball is just a different sport. For basketball, you want to be those Division I kids. For a lot of them, you got to have a lot of size. And you look around, and we don't have a lot of 6'10" kids walking around Southwest Missouri. Baseball worked, and it's the same for football. Jackson Cantwell is Jackson Cantwell because he's, first of all, a large person. You can't teach that size. So that would be why I say we don't have a lot of. We're not known necessarily for size. We have great guard play, and you see it on the basketball court all the time, great skill positions like Joel Rover. But I think you're seeing some more, at least in the like with Kieran Govan out of Republic. He's got offers from, just throw a rock and it's an FBS school that he's got an offer from. And Joel Rover is at Glendale, and he's a 3-sport star. He could go any number of ways with him. But just that lack of size. But in baseball, we have great facilities around here, and you've got great trainers as well. You've got guys who have gone to Missouri State and have stuck around. I mean, and they pass on their knowledge. And you've got like Mason Hour, he'll still come back. I'm not sure if he's still in the Rays organization. I haven't actually looked, but he would still come back here and train. And all these guys who see these guys who've gone on to pro and college baseball, these high school kids can come and train with them and see what it takes and soak it up. So there's a lot of great knowledge and a lot of great people who are passing on that knowledge to our local kids. And I think that's what makes our baseball talent pool so deep.
I want to get your thoughts on this because I was talking to his parents recently. We happened to be in the same airport on the way out to Arizona a few weeks ago. And Adam McKnight at Nixa, who is a Division I baseball prospect and has offers there as well as just a junior. Football, the offers haven't come rolling in like I would have expected. I think like they expected. I mean, this is a kid that to me in 40 plus years of being in this market is the best college quarterbacking prospect we've ever had in the area. When you take his size, his arm strength, the intangibles, the measurables, just the competitiveness. Why is this a product of our system now where teams are looking portal first for quarterbacks to bring them in and let them, develop under somebody else, and then they bring them in and they just don't want high school quarterbacks anymore? What do you see there with Adam McKnight?
With Adam McKnight, I don't get it either. Why he doesn't get more, because he wasn't Class 6 All-State, Scott. That makes no sense to me. And I think it's a little bit of maybe Kansas City and St. Louis bias on that level, how they're still not used to us having a Class 6 power down here. Because, I mean, outside of Joplin, when they had Zach Westmoreland and Isaiah Davis, who ended up playing in the NFL, made the title game, we hadn't had a lot of success in that class. And I think that needs to change with everything they've got going on at Nixa. And I think you're really going to see Adam McKnight's profile explode this summer and next fall, because they'll be like, oh, he's just got Jackson Cantwell blocking for him and all this. But it's more than that. He is an impressive, like the throws he makes are incredible. And under pressure throws, you look back to some of those state playoff games where with throws, you got to have it, and it's right on the money, right on the hand. So I think you'll see his profile blow up greatly, but there is a portal thing too. Arkansas had Darius Acuff, but then they want, if you're not that top end type of talent, they're going to let the Missouri States of the world, they're going to train them and like say, hey, almost treating them like a farm system at this point, which it's not what college sports should be, but it is what it is now. And so it hurts. The portal really hurts high school recruiting, because they're when you're coaching for your job, as all coaches are, they're incentivized to take what they see as a sure thing, especially in a sport like football, where it takes time to develop. I mean, there's a reason in NBA you can go 1 year college and jump. In baseball, they'll take you right out of high school. Football, it's got to be 3 years, and it's 3 years for a reason, for a physical issue, a knowledge issue. And so they want to take those sure things. And I do think that hurts local football recruits. Yeah.
And I think part of it too, Nixa the last couple of years has been so run heavy, having all-state tailbacks back there that, I think maybe this senior year, John Perry will take the reins off a little bit and let Adam throw more, because they may need to out of necessity. And you're right. I've not, and I've said it on social media, I've not seen a kid throw a prettier deep ball than Adam McKnight does. And, he knows how to loft it up and let them run underneath it, and that's a skill that not a lot of kids have. And so we'll see where that goes. But I do know that, the baseball offers are starting to come in, because you 6'4", maybe pushing 6'5", 210 pounds and a lot of power in that body and a really good arm. So the kids have got options. That's the one thing to keep in mind, right?
Yeah, for sure. And, there's obviously more money to be had on the football field. at least in college. But I mean, if you get to be a high level baseball recruit, there's money to be had right away. So, yeah, he's got options, and it's going to be exciting to see. And, John Perry, when you talk to him, he says, if you got a quarterback, you got a chance. And he believes in that McKnight, as everybody should. So I'm excited to see what this season brings in the football season.
Absolutely. So baseball, we'll wait. We'll get more into that as we get toward the end of the school year and the playoffs when these things kind of sort out. It seems like right now, as you mentioned, what was it? Nixa walked off Willard, you said, last night?
They did. Yeah. Levi Hilton was on the mound for Willard. I think he threw 5 innings with 10 strikeouts, and then one unearned run, and then Nixa got to the bullpen. So yeah, they really good hard fought game. You got to, with the pitch count stuff, anything can happen.
And right now they all just beat each other for about 2 months, and then somebody gets out of it at the end. Is the way it works out. Track and field, and while we're on the subject of Nixa, Hayden Mays, Jackson Cantwell graduates at semester, heads down to the U to take part in Miami's spring football drills. I know Hayden Mays hated losing his buddy, but it was also, hey, this is my chance to shine, and he's doing so, correct?
Yes, he leads the state in the discus throw with a throw just shy of 60 meters that he did over at the Willard Throws Invitational. But he's got some competition in the shot put. Webb City's Loudon Bollinger beat him head-to-head at the Pittsburgh State meet, throwing 1898. They were both over 60 feet. So there is some challenge there for Hayden in the shot put. He looks like to be a really good discus thrower. And, at the college level, they also bring in the hammer throw, and that's a discipline I think that Hayden could really excel at with his body, with as big his size of body and the way he throws the discus. So he could have a lot of success in an event that we don't really talk about a lot.
It's so hard for me to come to grips with the fact that, and I know completely why he did it. I mean, when you're that level of football player and the money's there for NIL, you go do where the money says you go do, which is go to Miami and get ingrained with that. But I just miss the thrill of spring season and seeing what Jackson Cantwell is going to throw the shot. And, he came, was it 1 centimeter? Is that what he was shy of the state record?
National record.
National record. Yeah. He set the state record several times. Yeah.
His state record will be one of those unbreakable ones, like Jason Pyrus 403 has been for a long time.
In a world where we can petition and counter everything, 1 centimeter. I mean, could they not find 1 centimeter? Could the guy not have stretched the tape out a little bit less? It's just mind-boggling that it literally came down to that.
Yeah, in the way they do it, yeah, you're right. We have a lot of, like, for the jumps and stuff up there, they have laser things, but it's all about where you point it. And yeah, you're right. Just if he goes to just a little bit further, if he sees it, because you're supposed to put it right in the crater. I think you're supposed to put it right in the middle of the crater. So if he judges the middle of the crater just a little bit further, it's a national record throw.
We need to get that guy on the radio that measured that and really put him to the test and say, did you really try to come up 1 centimeter short? Because it would have been a lot nicer if you'd come up 1 centimeter longer, and done that. But, and I don't, I haven't talked to Jackson since we had him on right after he got down there a couple weeks. But do you think his shot put and his track career is done? Or do you think there's a chance in college he maybe comes back and gives it a try?
It's done. We talked to him. Sat down with him after he got the Gatorade Award, and he basically said it's done unless something goes really wrong with football. And he's like, yeah. I think he said something along the lines, if football doesn't work out after 3 years, maybe I'll go transfer and be with my buddy Hayden at Auburn and try it out there. But football is going to work out. I do not expect him to pick up a shot put again.
If he did for 4 years with a shot put, is he an Olympian?
100%. Yeah. I mean, you look at the records he's breaking. He's on track for everything. Shoo-in. I would say I would be very confident in that.
Would you struggle with that if you were his parent?
It's
and you were an Olympic shot putter yourself, both mom and dad.
Yeah. I'm sure there would be a personal thing, but he's living out his own dream. He's walking his own path. And that's, as a father, that's all you want for your kids is for them to find their dreams and walk their path. And Jackson's doing that.
I would have personally opted for the shot put because the conditioning would be much easier than football, I would think, for that as well too. But anyway, that's me. Hayden May is at Nick. So what other area track standouts have we had so far? I know that the first big meets of the year are this week, later in the week. But to kind of tell us who our sprinting stars are, our distance, anybody you want to name that you think is going to be up there front and center when the state meet comes up later next month?
Well, I'll start with Class 4 boys. Cameron Miller out of West Plains. He's got 10.48 FAT, fully automatic. Brother of Heston Miller, who he broke his brother's record, Heston Miller's record. Cameron Miller is only he's a 2028 grad, so he's only a sophomore and already going 10.48.
That's the 100, right? 100 meter.
That's the 100 meter dash. And then Gage Hale, you remember him from the football field at Logan Rogersville, another sophomore that's really standing out. 1,000-yard receiver on the football field, but he has already gone 48.02 in the 400. He's almost under 48 to start the season, and then a 21.38 in the 200 leads the state in that. It leads the state in the 200. So just a really incredible start he has to the season. It'll be a fun matchup. The Jim Vaughn Invitational, formerly Hillcrest Invitational, is this Friday, and both Cameron Miller and Gage Hale are there. I believe Gage is running the 100 and the 200, so they'll go head-to-head in those two events. Those will be must-see, must-watch. I'm excited for those. And then also in the Class 4 sprints, Samantha Dowd from McDonald County, she leads with an 11.95 and a 24.85 in the 100 and 200, looking to break through there, and she's also on their state-leading 4x2. And then the one I'm really looking at is Cindery Mendoza. Oklahoma State committed, multi-time state champion, won on cross country his first year doing it. The big question is anybody ever going to get Jason Pyra's record? That 4:03 1600 that has stood the test of time. And Cindery's a kid who's got under 4:10s a lot. I think he's 4:07, 4:08, something like that. So the big question is can he get there? And Wyatt Klaber from El Dorado Springs is going to run right there with him. Great competition between those two. So I'm excited to see kind of how Cindery develops. And then we've got a lot of talent at the Class 1 and 2 level across the board. That's where we typically win the most of our state championships. Thomas Jefferson has Will Twist, who's already under 10 in the 3,200, which is incredible. Stratford has Ava Lane in the 400 in Class 3. She's the state champion there, also only a sophomore. So, and there will be a bunch of others that pop up throughout the year. But those are kind of the ones that come to my top of mind right now.
Any team championship contenders that you see this early that they've got the depth and the number of athletes to pull off the team title?
It's hard to see right now because with state track, so much of it is matchups and where you end up putting your people. And so it's hard. They really dig into that, kind of wants to get out towards districts and see where they can stack the most points. But anybody who has a state championship, especially like Nixa with Hayden Mays, if he wins both, that 20 points is going to get you pretty close to the podium with how spread out some of the talent is there. And in Class 1 especially, I mean, we've seen Claire Workman way back when win a state trophy by herself because she swept the distance events. So those teams, you always look at those teams that have strong, especially in the small class, strong distance programs because they're going to run the 8, 16, and 32 and stack up the points. So that's really what you'll watch develop throughout the year.
It just dawned on me that, we bring you on, you and I have been doing this 3+ years of the podcast. And, we talk about these kids that go on to college and run or throw, but those sports are so under-publicized at the college level that we never know really how they did. Have we had anybody go on and just really light it up in the last 5 years, track and field-wise, college level?
Locally, light it up. I wouldn't go that far. At the Division II level, Parker Love out of Warsaw had a really good run. Brianna Utech, you'll remember her. I remember she was a really good jumper and hurdler out of Marshfield. She's in her graduate year at Mizzou. She's had a lot of success at Wichita State her first 4 years, winning placing, being all conference in the AAC. And so she's one that hops to top of mind. But overall, like high level NCAA, like All-American status, we haven't had as many of those locally, no.
Yeah, and of course, arguably the best track and field program in the country and in history is less than 2 hours down the road in Fayetteville, Arkansas, with what they've done. I don't know, I remember that the Hammett girl from Nixa, Sydney Hammett, went down there and ran. Has Arkansas recruited any of our kids track and field late?
They have not as much, but they did have they actually, his name is escaping me right now, but Evangel had a kid from Ozark win the NAIA championship either last year or 2 years ago, and Arkansas poached him from the NAIA level. And again, I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, but he went to State Fair Community College to play baseball out of high school, and didn't work out there, and wanted to get back into track and field. I don't think he did he didn't do track in high school. Came back to Evangel, won an NAIA title. So that's probably some of the highest level success we've had, and where you kind of see it a lot at all levels now, where the D1s, you look at because I mean, track, the stopwatch doesn't lie. If you go to the NAI level, the D2 level, you're all running on a 400-meter track. You're all jumping, and so you can have success anywhere at track and field. It's just getting the right fit for you. And they saw the times he was running at the NAI level and brought him up to their D1 level.
If there was a tape measure big enough, Gene Hackman could measure the track at the state meet and show his athletes it's the same size, right? As their track back. But yeah,
you're exactly right. Just 400 meters. Everybody runs.
Yeah. When I was in junior high running the 400, it seemed like it was a lot longer than 400 meters, but that was just my feeble attempt at finishing. Girls soccer, is it the usual suspects in terms of teams to watch now and then when postseason comes around?
It really is. Our Class 5 district, Glendale, is solidly, or a Class 4 District 5. Glendale is solidly a Class 4 team now. So for so long they were in Class 3, and they were a Class 3 representative, and you were looking at Kickapoo, Nixa going back and forth. But now Kickapoo, Nixa, Glendale, they all share that top district. And then the other interesting movement this year was that Springfield Catholic, like the boys did in the fall, the girls have moved back down to Class 2. So that's going to be a really good battle between Catholic and Logan Rogersville, some All-Staters back, and Maddie Lou Schubert, who is an incredible scorer for them. So you're looking at Class 3 is pretty wide open this year. You're going to have some different teams with some shots there with, Carl Junction, Central, Hillcrest, McDonald County, Parkview, Webb, West Plains, and Willard all in that district. So, but for the most part, a lot of the teams you usually hear about.
It's boys golf and boys tennis season, and we really haven't identified, but we really don't have the top shelf talent. It seems like at least they haven't come forward yet. Is that correct and accurate?
Yeah. We'll learn a lot from the Springfield Tennis Invite, I believe, next week. All the top schools go there. We'll learn a lot there. And then the MSU relays, I wasn't able to get the results on those, but the Bolivar tournament was this week. And so once you start getting into some of these bigger meets and kids round into their form, you're going to get your better look at it. But we graduated a lot of top-end golf talent, so it's opening up the opportunity for a lot of new guys to step into those roles. Yeah,
and I think Nixa golf, the boys are expecting a big year. They've got 3 college signees, I think, in their top 5 traveling group, and have been going out of the area. So it'll be interesting. I think there's a meet at River Cut maybe tomorrow or next week. I'm not sure. I need to check that calendar. But anyway, and then, your new baby, the one that I see Chris Parker kind of get excited about is girls softball in the spring. It's a small school softball thing for the spring sports, but Ozarks are contenders in just about every class, are they not?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it my baby so much as you can't ignore that we have 8 of the top 10 ranked teams in the state. There's just a lot. And so where they don't have to travel outside the area to find top end competition. Like Skyline's number 1, East number 2. They met up at Neosho and played earlier this week. It was a 1-0 game, won on a bloop single in the top of the 7th. And then Diamond, defending state runner-up, they're number 4. Mount Vernon's number 5. Warsaw, defending state champion class, she's number 6. Then Fairgrove 7, Thayer and Springfield Catholic, which is a very new program. They're 9, and then Miller and Clever are also receiving votes. So if you look at Class 2, there are 14 teams they got mentioned, and 10 of them are from Southwest Missouri. So that's always a fun state Final Four to cover, because we just, we're almost guaranteed a finalist, because we typically get 3 of the 4 finalists the way the brackets break. So I really enjoy it. And I'll also say, Scott, I'm going into the coaching world right now, coaching 8U softball down with my daughter's team. So getting
where are they ranked in the Ozone poll?
It's a 4-team coach pitch league, and we'll see. We got to get out there on the field and give it a go.
Very good. I know you keep up with the area athletes and the portal coming and going. Has anything caught your eye when the basketball portal opened up this week for the men and the women? I know Tyreek Brooks is back in, right?
Tyreek Brooks, the two I'm watching, Reagan McCowan, former Lebanon, standout at Western Illinois. She's in the portal. And then, surprisingly, Virginia let go of Mox. And Bree Hurd was originally committed to Mox at Missouri State. She was a 4 or 5 star recruit from Waynesville. So it'll remain to be seen whether Mox gets another job. Maybe she follows Mox. Does she stay at Virginia? Does she try to come back home? So that's a name that I'm watching. I'd love to see if, Reagan McCowan and Bree Hurd could come back home. That'd be really great for the Lady Bears, but I haven't heard anything specifically as it relates to Bree, whether she's even entering the portal or not. But those are kind of the ones that stick out.
Absolutely. Parker, as always, we appreciate your time. Let's get back together again at the end of May and talk championships. And as always, big thanks to you and the Ozone for providing the information that we can't find anywhere else now. So thank you.
Thank you guys for having me on.
You betcha. Chris Parker of the Ozarks Ozone, one of our frequent guests, because if we need to know something about high school sports, Chris Parker is going to know who it is and where they play. So, again, big thank you to our sponsors. Thompson Sales are located at 1555 East Independence in South Springfield. The Thompson boys have been in business since 1919. They're your home for the largest selection of Cadillac, Buick, and GMC cars and trucks, both new and used, and they've got a great service department to take care of your vehicles from start to finish until you're ready to trade them back in at Thompson's and be treated, again, just like you're part of the family. Thompson boys have been dealing since 1919. Big thanks to Colton Steakhouse of Springfield. They're located just down the street from Thompson's at 2020 East Independence. Great place to go have lunch or dinner, business meetings. The food is excellent, whether it's steaks, barbecue, their salads, their fresh peanuts, and those wonderful hot rolls with the honey butter. All of it's good stuff. I'm a big fan of the Montana burger. It's a juicy burger made of a steak blend, and I don't know if there's a better burger in town, so go give that a try. And also tell Thomas Orr and his folks thank you for sponsoring our podcast here at Around the Ozark Sports Scene. And then finally, Deadeye Gun in Sparta. They're located 7483 Main Street in Sparta. You can visit deadeyegunsupply.com. Check out their selection of pistols, rifles, accessories, silencers, whatever you're looking for. I know we had Jonathan on last week, and Jonathan Lawrence, the owner, and he was talking about the turkey season for spring is here. If you got ammunition you need, you got a new rifle you need, go see Jonathan and the folks at Deadeye Gun in Sparta. Big thanks to all three of those great sponsors. Well, that's going to do it for this week. We'll talk more sports next week here on Around the Ozark Sports Scene. Thanks for tuning in.